welcome to the New European Podcast. My name's Richard Porritt and I'm joined by Steve Anglesey.
Hello, snowflakes.
How are you,
fantastic
Steve?
Time. It's brilliant, isn't it? Sarah Sands.
Yes.
She's resigned from the Today programme. No more Sarah Sands. Katie Hopkins has had her Twitter account suspended. No more Katie Hopkins. What a fantastic weekend it's going to be ahead.
Well, yes, and it's the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl.
Are you watching it?
I'm watching it.
Are you coming in on Monday?
I'm coming in a little bit late on Monday.
Yeah, Super Bowl, big deal. Super Bowl weekend is a big deal in my household.
And in my household too.
Super Bowl Monday is traditionally a day when I stay in bed.
A day of rest.
Yeah, and I shall be doing that this week.
Oh, well done. Very good.
We both back in the Chiefs, aren't we?
Will you be working from bed like John and Yoko?
No, I won't. Actually, we're taking the day off.
You're having a day off?
I am. So no Porritt on Monday. We will be doing
bad news, Porritt fans.
It is. We will be doing the news firstly, because I know a lot of you listeners come here for your news.
Yeah.
This
rather than the Today programme. It's not all good news, is it?
Well, no.
It's not all Sarah Sands, Katie Hopkins and the Super Bowl, is it?
It's not. I'll tell you my Sarah Sands story in a minute. And then we will be crowning a Brexiteer of the week, as always, dear listener.
There is an elephant in the room, though, isn't there?
There is. I wondered. I didn't want to mention it.
Well,
but
shall we see if we can get through the podcast without mentioning it?
Yes, there is an elephant in the room. Do building services know that you've brought this animal?
I know. It's made a right mess of our carpet.
Do you know what? I told a young person...
Yes.
That in my youth I did a little bit of travelling and I went to Thailand.
Oh, yes.
It wasn't a gap year.
No.
My gap year was spent on a till at Sainsbury's, but I did manage to save enough money to spend a holiday in Thailand.
In Thailand.
Which was great fun. And I rode an elephant in the jungle. And I told this story to horrified faces.
Well, it's...
Horrified. And I said, what? So you can't ride elephants?
It's viewed as...
And I was like,
cruel, isn't it?
But how... I don't... For anyone who has never seen a picture of me, I weighed myself on Boxing Day, and I weighed 11 stone.
Yes.
I
soaking wet.
Subsequently lost 6 pounds without even trying.
Have you?
And so about 10.5 stone is sort of my average weight.
Okay.
And so me getting on the back of an elephant, I mean, the elephant didn't even notice. So I don't know why it's cruel. I mean, is it because they're kept in sanctuaries and stuff?
Well, I think it's the use of an elephant for
entertainment
rather than the actual act of riding the elephant.
Well, these elephants, can I just say...
It's not like when fat people used to ride Blackie the donkey in that cruel village fate thing that was exposed by the sun all those years ago.
Yeah. What? And
they
bought the donkey, didn't they? And then there was another one for sale.
There was, yeah. The fattest man in the village used to ride a child donkey,
Spain
didn't
somewhere,
it? Basically, that was the tradition, and it didn't end well for the donkey.
No. These elephants were part of They were rescued elephants. After they stopped logging in Thailand, they found those elephants just tied up in the jungle, because obviously the owners had no means to keep them.
Yeah.
So they rescued them and took them to this sanctuary. So they'd been around humans their entire lives. The worry was that they wouldn't survive in the wild. So, I feel a little bit better about it.
Yeah,
but for wokeness, I can confirm I will not be riding any more elephants, including the one in this room.
So we've probably gone about 5 minutes without mentioning it, haven't we?
3 minutes and 42 seconds.
Okay, that's pretty good going.
Shall
we go on?
What we could try. Well,
when I was away last week,
yes,
talking about...
Well, you weren't. You were on Brexiteer of the week.
Well, I was on Brexiteer of the week.
It's the magic of the media.
Exactly, yeah. I rushed in, didn't I? And then I rushed out to a...
Yes, you did.
I was listening to people talking about podcasts.
Yeah.
Apparently they're going to catch on.
Yes. It's weird, isn't it? How people, this is the year of the podcast.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for 3 years now.
They said somebody said there's quite a lot of good political podcasts out there if you're into politics. Some of them can be just a bit rambly, though. And I thought,
which ones would they?
I know, yeah.
Can I just remind you, of course, that the New European Podcast, of which you are listening to...
The award nominated.
...is... nominated for an International Publishers Podcast Award, which I told my children proudly this.
Yes.
And they said, well, how many people have been nominated in your category, which is News and Current Affairs, Daddy? And I said, 6. And they said, wow, so your podcast is one of the 6 best in the world.
It is.
And that is true.
That is, yeah.
That is true, isn't it? And you can tell by us banging, and the production values are huge.
Enormous.
So anyway, here's the news.
So the news.
Yeah. What is today? What date is it?
Well, today is the we're recording this on the Thursday, aren't we? Which is Thursday, January the 30th.
Yeah.
And tomorrow is Friday, Black Friday, January the 31st. And do you know what is important about January the 31st?
It is my friend John. Shout out to John. It is his 40th birthday. Happy birthday, John. He's a keen listener to the podcast.
Happy birthday, John.
Yeah, so that's why it's important, I think.
Well, I've got one for you as well.
Okay.
And this is 100% true.
Yeah.
This is
well,
true.
John's birthday is as well.
This is true facts.
Yeah, yeah.
It is National Backwards Day.
Is it really?
In America. It is national.
So how do people celebrate that?
It is National Backwards Day.
Do they call it the SU?
This exactly, yeah, the AS of you.
The AS of you?
Yeah.
The ass of you?
The ass of you. Bit cheeky.
Yeah, double cheeky.
It started as a fun literacy thing for school children. It is now
what? Why is that?
Because for sort of young school children in America, they'd have a day where people wrote things backwards on the blackboard, and then they'd have running backwards races and stuff like this. And it was it was a planned sort of school event. But this is now, as these things do in America, where there is a sort of national day of something every day, isn't there?
Yeah, so can you buy National Backwards Day greetings cards?
Well, I don't know whether you can buy National Backwards Day greeting cards, but there's all of the sort of big brands are involved in this on Twitter.
Are they?
Star Wars get involved, as you would imagine, with Yoda. There are, if you look on YouTube, there are quite a lot of videos of morning show hosts hilariously dressing back to front. Usually the guys who read the weather, because they're always the wacky ones.
They're the wacky ones. But was this started by the band Criss Cross?
Well, there's pictures of Criss Cross.
Because I went on holiday, right, when I was a kid. I went on holiday
with Criss Cross.
No, and I'd never heard of Criss Cross. And when I came back to school 2 weeks later, back in the days where you could take 2 weeks off to go on holiday, from school, everyone was like wearing their jackets back to front and stuff, and I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, it's Criss Cross."
It's Criss Cross.
Never heard of Criss Cross, so they passed me by for some time.
I thought it was just a bit of a change of pace from Christopher Cross, who did Arthur's song, the theme from the Dudley Moore version of Arthur. Oh, what's he done that for?
Yeah. Well, maybe he was the lyrical genius behind We're Going to Make You Jump. That was Criss Cross.
Daddy Mac will make you jump.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, fun. Fun was to be had.
It was fun. Yes.
So it's Backward Day. What else?
So National Backward Day. Well,
on?
there is one other thing, isn't there?
Just one?
Well, there's more than one.
Oh.
It's the end of Deadwater Fell on Channel 4.
I haven't watched
Fourth
that.
of 4 episodes.
We did basically the TV episode last week. We should probably...
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm watching Ozark.
David Tennant is in it.
Oh, yes, I've heard of it.
It's really, really good.
Yeah.
It's about... It appears to be about coercive control.
Right. Something that you're well versed in.
Well, I think something as Remainers we're all well versed in, or 52% are well versed in. I was just looking at TV listings for 11 o'clock. I don't know why I was drawn to that.
No, I don't know. It's quite late. I'll still be at Jack Off the Beanstalk.
Yes, you will be. Yes.
We're all very excited about that.
The Home Channel. I've never watched the Home Channel.
They
have got A Place in the Sun on, which is about Britons who buy homes in Europe.
It is.
Something that I can only imagine will boom. It's this episode is Helen Broomhead from Cheshire, who wants a property in the Sanctaire region of Italy.
Oh.
She's got a budget of £100,000. Good luck with that.
Yeah. How much she got a budget of what?
£100,000.
£100,000. I don't know what that buys you in Italy.
Good luck with that. Good luck with getting your pension over there.
Yeah, good luck.
And Sky Crime has got on at 11 p.m. on Friday night. Has got on Britain's Most Evil Killers.
Really?
That's another thing that we do best in the world.
Kill people?
Yeah. We've got the best killers in the world.
Have we, though?
It's a spin-off from the world's most evil killers.
Is it?
Yeah.
I think all
France
killers
and Italy
evil,
got their own versions. No. Only Britain. Britain, mate. I'm proud.
All right, yeah, British and proud. Are you proud to be British?
And I am very proud to be British, actually. I won't be proud to be British at 11 p.m. On Friday night.
It's weird though to say. I mean,
because I'll be watching I won't be watching the last leg. Because Jeff Northcott is on that. Jeff Northcott, who's a Brexiteer comedian, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Just in case you want another reason not to watch the last leg.
Yeah.
Of which there are several.
Britain is an economic union.
Yes.
It doesn't even have a patron saint.
No. It should be the patron saint of Britain.
Oh, Nigel Farage. The patron saint of Britain, I would say probably Norman Wisdom.
That would be good. He's the patron saint of Albania, isn't he, of course?
He is.
Because they love him in Albania.
I interviewed Norman Wisdom.
Did you?
He was absolutely brilliant.
Well,
he was very elderly and very ill actually at the time, but he was fantastic. And he posed. He did his little point. Yeah, he was fantastic. He was brilliant.
Very good.
Sarah Sands.
Sarah Sands, we mentioned. Yeah,
she's not going to be the editor of the Today programme anymore.
No, that's good.
I mean, I don't buy this. BBC is biased towards Leave. I think it's nonsense, and Leavers will tell you they're biased towards the other way. They are all Remainy.
Yes,
I just heard.
I
just can't stick it at all. I think the BBC Newswise are an excellent and impartial organisation. You can disagree with me if you like, listener, but that is my stance. But Sarah Sands was my editor.
Yes, and
she is quite she's tiny. She's about 4'7". She's tiny.
Yes.
And I was outside. For anyone who's familiar with the offices of the Evening Standard of Daily Mail, they are off High Street, Kensington, and Derry Street is where the entrance of the Evening Standard is. And I was stood outside on Derry Street having a cigarette. That was me smoking.
That's amazing. Can you do cigar? Is that our Hamlet?
Brilliant. Those adverts are great, weren't they?
Yeah.
If you'd like to sponsor the podcast and you are British American Tobacco, I'm afraid you can't legally.
It's a shame.
It's
not a shame.
And I watched her trying to get on a Boris bike, and she couldn't get on it because all the seats had been left too high.
That's ironic, given her good work on behalf of Boris Johnson
and we used to call her Hairy Hands.
Hairy Hands, but she didn't.
She hasn't got hairy hands. It was just our little funny, hilarious nickname that rhymed with Sarah Sands. But bizarrely,
Richard Keys, his nickname is Sarah Sands. So
yes,
I can wait. Don't worry.
Good.
I did have to wait.
In an Olympic,
he looks like the bloke from Carry On Screaming, doesn't he? The old
in an Olympic
Olympic
Games planning meeting that Sarah Sands was in. She was convinced that the javelin was going to take place at King's Cross Station, King's Cross St Pancras, and not in the Olympic Stadium. Yes. And she wanted us to do a story on why.
Yes.
Because she'd seen a sign for javelin.
Because the javelin, the fast trains from King's Cross to the Olympic Park were called the javelin trains.
But she was she wasn't actually away. She was the deputy editor when I was there, and she was always very pleasant. So I've got not a bad word to say about Sarah Sands.
Well,
although I hate that bloody puzzle.
Which bloody puzzle?
On the Today programme.
Oh, God, yes.
Awful.
Yes.
Dump that right away.
Yes.
I'm with Humphreys on that.
That could have gone with Humphreys.
So anyway, we're leaving the EU.
Oh.
Yeah. That's it. 13 minutes and 42 seconds.
Fantastic.
I ignored that elephant for. I'll just explain what this elephant looks like. It's painted in head to toe with a Union Jack. It has a pint of Best.
Yes. It's wearing a hanky.
Knotted on its head.
Knotted hanky.
And it's gone to the beach in its suit. And it's rolled up its legs.
It has.
And it is paddling in the surf.
It has, yeah.
Yeah, string vest, suit trousers, hanky on its head.
Yeah. And what's that it seems to be inhaling in its trunk? Is it an old meat pie?
I think it might be. I had a pie for my lunch.
Me too, it was delicious, yeah. But it seems to be quite gristle based, which is,
the pie you had for your lunch?
No, the pie that elephant is eating.
That seems to be. Was it humble pie?
I think it might be, yeah. Or it might be a nice old 70s pie. Has that elephant got rickets as well? It's looking a bit peaky.
Why is it gesturing in that racist manner?
I don't know.
Of course,
We are leaving the EU.
We are leaving the
at 11
EU.
p.m. on Friday the 31st.
Which has always tickled me.
We might have left it.
It's always tickled me that it's at 11 p.m. that we will not abide by your rules anymore, EU.
Yes.
Well, you'll have to leave at 11 p.m. because, of course, you're an hour ahead of us. Yes, fine.
Yes, all right, that's fine. We can't have the limbo. It would be great if there was a limbo hour.
Oh, yeah. Where, a bit like the Purge?
Yeah, exactly.
Where we're not governed by UK rules or EU
There
rules.
are no rules.
Oh, wow.
There are simply no rules.
The Purge hour. What would you do then?
What would I do? I don't know. I'm quite tired by 11 o'clock now.
Well, I know, but if you had an hour where you wouldn't get arrested, what would you do?
What would I'd probably deface a I don't know.
An elephant.
An elephant, yeah.
I think what I would do is I would remove all my clothes.
Oh, not again.
No law has stopped me doing this in the past.
Yes.
And I would walk down to my local pub.
Yes.
And I would order a pint of baby sham.
I'll have a baby shower. Like that.
And expect the rest of the pub to go, I'll have a baby sham.
That'd be brilliant.
We once went on an away day, me and some pals, and there was this joker in the pack, nice guy. And he went, right, my round. We're in this pub full of football supporters.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, right, what do you want with a pint? What do you want your pint? Oh, a pint. Yeah, pint. Ooh, lots, pint. He gets to the bar, then he turns around and he goes, Porritt, what was it you wanted? Baby sham? Really loud in the pub.
What a joke.
But I did want a baby sham, so...
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I've been reaching some other things that have happened on January the 31st
Excellent.
in history.
Yes, good. History.
Are you
Welcome
ready
to the
for
History
this?
Podcast, I am.
Some of these might remind you of Brexit in some way.
Yeah.
January the 31st, 2011. I think we'll put this in sort of misplaced faith in that English things are better than European things. January 31st, 2011 was the day when Liverpool sold Fernando Torres, who'd scored 62 goals in 105 games for them and was rather good.
He was.
And they bought Andy Carroll.
But he was good for Liverpool, and then he went to Chelsea and he couldn't
Yes,
hit a
that's
barn
right.
door, could he? So.
They paid 36 million quid for Andy Carroll.
Wow.
And who scored 6 goals in 44 games, was injured a lot, and then was sold for a loss of 21 million quid.
I was in a Daily Mail conference once, and John Stiefel, who was taking the conference that day, said, "Is this guy Andy Carroll any good then?" And the sports editor went, "Yeah, I think he's the new what was he called? Hartley. What was he called? Do you remember the guy who went to play for Rangers?
Oh, Stephen? No, not
What was
Stephen.
his name?
I don't know.
Oh, well, that's a rubbish story.
J.R. Hartley.
J.R. Hartley. He's the new J.R. Hartley. Yeah.
January the 31st,
Yeah.
1933.
Yeah.
It's the day after Hitler became Chancellor,
Right.
and the New York Times, this was front page news in the New York Times, this falls under the category of, like Brexit, it's not going to be as bad as people say it is. So Hitler becomes Chancellor of Germany. The New York Times front page headline was, Hitler made Chancellor of Germany, but coalition cabinet limits his power. Centrists hold the balance. And inside the front page, the front page story ended, the composition of the cabinet leaves Herr Hitler no scope whatsoever for gratification of his ambitions to become a dictator. Didn't turn out that well, that one, did it?
History did not look kind on that particular piece of journalism.
It is the January the 31st, 1606. Do you know what happened on that day? What happened in 1606? Come on.
1606.
You've done history.
It was 60 years before the Great Fire of London.
Oh, it's 1605, isn't it? Sorry, of course. 1605, the gunpowder plot.
Oh, well, I mean, I would have got it.
Of course you would. Sorry,
Yeah.
that's my fault.
Yeah.
1606
Yeah.
is the first recorded incident of what we now call a soft Brexit, because as they were leading Guy Fawkes up to be hung, drawn and quartered, he escaped from the executioner, jumped off the massive platform, plummeted to his death, breaking his neck,
Yeah.
but avoided obviously having his entrails plucked out while he was still alive.
Yeah, which
So,
is...
You know,
Yeah.
it's like Norway plus,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yes.
I think. And one last one. This is my my personal favourite, and it's an example like Brexit of when grandiose schemes and plans go wrong. And happily, in this case, although there were quite a few fatalities in this raid as well.
Right.
So a German Zeppelin captain called Max Dietrich, who was piloting an L-21 Zeppelin on January the 31st, 1916, got back to his base. They went, how did it go, Max? He went, fantastic, I've destroyed Liverpool. And they went, what, are you sure? And he went, yeah. He said, it's incredible. There's no, we met with no resistance, and I've just dropped all the bombs on Liverpool. And then they worked out that instead of, he thought that he had flown over Manchester, he'd actually flown over Derby.
Right.
Then he thought he'd gone out into the Irish Sea, and ready to turn round. But actually, he had gone over North Shropshire, where there wasn't very much there. And then he spotted Birkenhead, the gateway to Liverpool. Actually, it was Tipton in the Black Country. So when he destroyed Liverpool, even then famed for its shipping industry and munitions factories and all of this kind of stuff, what he'd actually taken out was a couple of factories in the East Midlands market town of Wednesbury.
Right. Well, that is a good story.
So that is good.
There's a book in that.
So all of these things happened on January the 31st.
Right.
Also, sadly, 4 years ago, a great father of European collaboration died. Terry Wogan died on January the 31st.
Is that right?
Yes, he did. He did.
Tiggs.
And there was Oldtel.
That's what he said. Didn't he call his listeners Tiggs?
Togs.
Togs.
Terry's old girls.
Is that what it was?
I don't know. I wasn't a great listener.
A tog, not a tig. A tig is something Chukwuemeka did.
Yes, that's right. The Tiggers, yes. But there you go. He was a man who knew how to laugh at the absurdities of European institutions without saying we must get out of them.
He was good, wasn't he?
He was good.
Wogan. God bless.
God bless. So he died January the 31st, 2016.
So what are your plans for 11 o'clock? You'll be asleep, I guess.
I'm going to watch... my plans... Deadwater Fell will be enjoyed from 9 till 10. No television news will be encountered.
I don't think it's going to be.
My phone will be off.
Yeah.
I won't be looking at any digital news.
No. Much like listeners to this pod, because they come here for their news.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And I think the great wines of Europe will be enjoyed, and then an early bed.
Yeah. I'll be at Jack off the Beanstalk.
I cannot believe this. Shall we talk about
Steve Baker?
Should we talk about Steve Baker?
Because I think that's a good seg, isn't it? From what you will be doing, because of course there is. We don't know quite what form it's going to take or how many people will be there, but there are going to be people in Parliament Square.
Yes.
This evening, or they were, if you're listening post. But he isn't going to be there.
Well, I think there's an element. I mean, Steve Baker, for those who are confused or have tried to wipe all images of Steve Baker from their memory banks, Steve Baker is the chairman of the ERG. He's bespectacled. He's got dark hair. He's a slim guy. Would you describe him as permanently smug-looking? Steve Baker. He's a keen parachutist, isn't he?
Is he?
These are all the things that I know about Steve Baker.
Yeah. Well, I'd never heard of him before Brexit, frankly, and he was mildly annoying.
And he was very much in the let's get it done.
Yeah.
Will of the people, all of that camp.
And he's been Brexiteer of the Week on numerous occasions.
He has been Brexiteer of the Week on numerous occasions. Credit where it is due.
Yes.
He tweeted on Wednesday, on Friday, I will speak at two Conservative events. I will not be at Parliament Square. Bearing in mind our need to unite this country when many people feel great sorrow about leaving the EU, I am encouraging magnanimity.
I struggle with that word. Magnanimity.
Nearly. Magnanimity.
Magnanimity. Can you say magnanimous?
Magnanimous, yes.
Magnanimity.
Magnanimity.
I think that's
right.
Magnanimity.
I'll be encouraging magnanimity, or whatever it is, from Brexit supporters. Will I ever get this right?
I ain't cutting this out.
He said it's time for big hearts.
Yeah, I mean, fair play.
And I think credit where it's due.
Yeah.
That is quite nice.
And I imagine his followers on Twitter were of a similar mindset.
Well, they just got completely behind his message. All the Brexiteers.
Good,
Peter Jeffries,
yeah,
who is a member of the Brexit Party from the Isle of Wight.
But that's all right, because he's going to be magnanimity.
He endorsed this.
Yeah.
He said, "Show some backbone."
Oh.
Brexiteers have been put through hell for 4 years. Hell? We've been called every vile name going, and you ask us to be magnanimous. I will be enjoying the moment, and rightly so. No more idiot with a microphone. No more Subri and Adonis. Andy Shepherd.
Who's the idiot with a microphone?
Andy Shepherd. Well, I presume it's Steve Bray, isn't it? The megaphone.
Oh, I see.
Andy Shepherd said, "Where were the big hearts over the last 3 years? I'll tell you where. Dedicated to ripping Brexiteers' hearts out." I must have missed that. Did we actually do that? Brexit Guard. He said, "Brexit is worth celebrating. If that offends the bitter Remainers, good. They should have shown humility in defeat, but no." Who's this one? SDD.
That's what?
Oh no, he said.
He's saying rude things.
He said something very rude.
Rude.
Yes. Martin Nichols said, "Ramonas are going to get everything they deserve, including laughing in their faces." The great unwoke at Twantish, who is actually very Twantish, said, "The open sedition perpetrated by many of the Remain persuasion will not be forgiven or forgotten.
Right.
It is for them now to seek rehabilitation through contrition." Right. So all of you out there, if you can ask, I would seek contrition. You can talk to at Twantish on Twitter, and I'm sure he will show you the way to go.
Are you suggesting a Twitter pile-on?
I am not suggesting a Twitter pile-on.
No, don't do that.
No, don't do that at all. There you go.
What was this one? I like this one.
A couple of Remainers wrote saying, well, here's one. Here's one from Beanie One. "Steve, I for one think this is nice of you. It doesn't undo things. It doesn't change how I feel about Brexit, but at least it is an acknowledgement, the only one I've seen from a Tory, that many people are upset and happy." And I did see Boris Johnson just before we started recording this saying he wanted things to be low-key and respectful.
Yeah. I've got a little bit of common sense.
Yeah. So I'm sure Nigel Farage will take that up. And
well, Nigel Farage, of course, he's just had a portrait unveiled of himself, hasn't he?
Yeah. Unveiled by a leading art critic.
What's he called? Will Gumpus.
If you can't
Not
get
him.
I mean, now Brian Sewell has gone.
Brian Sewell, yeah.
And the old, old toothy nun who...
oh, God, what's she called?
Sister Wendy.
Sister Wendy.
She's got teeth like mine.
She's brilliant. Oh, by the way, your pal's got a travelling exhibition coming to our parts.
Who's that?
Pottery, ceramics.
Oh, Grayson.
Grayson
Perry, very good. I do like Grayson Perry very, very much. So that's it. So Nigel Farage, then, do you think he will be respectful?
I imagine he'll probably take his portrait, which was unveiled by great art critic Jim Davison.
It was Jim Davison, yes.
Yeah. Pot the reds in.
Yes,
screw
absolutely.
Back, fill yellow, green, brown, blue, pink and black.
Yeah.
Snooker loopy. Nuts are we.
Yeah. Might want to get rid of a few of those colours. What's wrong with the white? What's wrong with potting the white?
Pot the white in, screw back for the white, and white.
Yeah. Hey?
Yeah, bizarrely...
Christmas in our own country, mate, I think you'll find.
Bizarrely, Jim Davison unveiled the portrait of Nigel Farage for reasons of which I'm unaware. But he did. And we don't think much of the painting, do we? Do you think that's just because the subject matter was a difficult one?
Well, you just go, I don't want this bloke sitting in front of me.
Well, especially, have you seen it, though?
On.
But he's posed, I'll tell you, listener, it's a naked portrait.
It is, yeah.
And he's lying face down, and the moon is shining through a window
on his buttocks,
onto his derriere.
On his buttocks. Talking of Nigel Farage's buttocks.
Yes.
You know when they
What, his buttocks?
Well, you know, last week we were talking about how they banned them from bringing their little British flags in and
Yes.
having them on their desk.
Yes, yes.
But then, on the last
I
day
know.
of the EU Parliament, they all sort of emerged with British flags, didn't
Yeah,
they?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
was wondering how they smuggled them in. Do you think they did it like people do mobile phones into jail?
Do you know what I thought looking at
Because
them?
that would be handy, wouldn't it, with the stick?
Well, you could easily. I mean, I could certainly wave a flag from my buttocks.
But that would be a real. It'd be an easy way of smuggling them in. You'd be walking a
it's
bit
fine.
funny, wouldn't you?
No, you'd be fine.
Anne Widdecombe might have needed assistance to remove it.
What?
But
Who's that song? Flagpole Sitter. Who sings that? That's a great song. That.
that would be it.
Well, okay. So, I think we can just take it that that's how they did it. So the Brexiteer MEPs smuggled Union Jacks in between their buttocks.
In their rectums, yeah.
In their all of it. So did they wind the flag up?
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Put it in their
That's
anal
what they
cavity,
did, yeah.
and then whip it out and wave it around.
Yes. Yes. I don't know who was in charge of putting it up there. Maybe Martin Daubney. I'll do this.
Maybe.
And then Richard Tice got to whip them out like that.
It's an important job.
It's very possible.
It's an important job.
It is an important job.
So they waved them, and it didn't go down too well, did it, with the rest of the people in the chamber?
It didn't. Was it Mairead McGuinness who told them to shut up?
McGuinness. She turned. Well, he was in the middle of one of these rambling, stupid speeches that he makes about, well, we'll take back control and all that kind of nonsense. And she just turned his microphone off.
Yes,
which is great. And she told him. She said. Please sit down, resume your seats, put your flags away, and take them with you if you're leaving now.
Well, I don't think they wanted to take them.
And they did, and they were singing
after where they'd been.
And they sang, but the Remainers sang Auld Lang Syne.
They did. It was really lovely.
All that seems to happen, as far as I can tell, in the EU Parliament is singing and flag waving from our lot.
That's right, yeah.
Leave or remain, don't know.
It was interesting, wasn't it? That
I'm just looking at a picture of these flags.
I mean,
they've got little stands.
Yeah.
I mean, that must have really stung quite a bit. They've got little round like disc stands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ooh.
But that was on the bottom, so that was what maybe Ticey grabbed hold of.
Well. Perfect, because it would stop it getting lost.
Yes, exactly.
It's actually
you don't want
useful.
That, do you?
So they didn't put the stand right up. Okay, I'm following.
No.
Right.
So yeah. So
do you know what Nigel did after that? After he left the chamber, do you know what he did?
Did he go for a pint?
He had a beer.
Oh, he had a beer. I was joking.
Yeah,
of course he did.
He had a pint and he put his little flag in his top pocket.
Yes, he did.
People.
Yes, I saw that.
What is that awful smell, Nigel?
What's that strange smell?
Dreadful smell. And
he said that. Did you see that awful press conference that he gave? He said, being an MEP, gave me the chance of endless dinner invitations, chauffeur-driven cars, and more money than some could dream of. He also then said that most of the institutions of the EU would be gone within 10 years. If he wants to bet, I don't know. What should we bet him?
Does he look like a betting man, Nigel?
Nigel Farage? Well, he looks like a frog.
Yeah.
But, yes, I would imagine he is a betting man. What should we bet him? 100 quid? What would that be? That would be worth like 13p, won't it, in 10 years?
I think we should bet him something other than money. I think we should bet... I will hang the naked buttock portrait
of Nigel Farage.
And we're both art lovers, actually, aren't we?
Yes.
We're both fans of art.
Yes,
So I will hang that. We will hang it month on, month off in our houses for a year.
Yes.
How about that? And if we win, he's got to hang a naked picture of me ordering a baby sham.
Yes, excellent.
How about that, Nigel? Are you up for it?
I think you've got his phone number, haven't you?
Yeah. Speak to him.
We could do it.
Yeah,
we could send him that offer. I don't want that flag included.
No, it's fine, Nigel. You keep your flag. You need your own little memento.
You keep that.
This incredible occasion.
Put that in the Museum of Brexit. And yes, he then said, they said, what are you going to be doing now? And he said, I'm going to go all over Europe, trying to get other countries out of the EU. And I bet that is, I mean, they're going to absolutely love that, aren't they?
God.
First
stop.
Nicotine-stained English frogman
with a poo flag in his top pocket,
complaining that why is there any bitter in this country? And all of this
sausage, egg, chips, and beans.
Exactly, and he said Italy, Denmark, and Poland are the 3 countries that he's targeting that are going to leave the EU next.
Exit. Exit.
I've got the results of the last polls in each of those countries.
Oh, good.
There.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure he's pushing at an open door.
In Italy, the last poll was 25% leave, 62% remain.
Right.
In Denmark, it was 22%
Interesting maths there
leave.
from the Italians.
Well, there's a don't,
have a history of that, haven't they?
There's a don't know involved in all of these. Denmark was 22% leave and 66% remain,
right.
and Poland was 28% leave and 63% remain. So they all sound like they're on the cusp.
Easy.
All it needs, the tipping point, will be when Mr. Toad from Toad Hall turns up. Yes.
Perfect.
So there you go. Perfect.
I mean, I think Nigel, to wrap up the news, Nigel would say, what have the EU ever done for us, though, Steve? What have they ever done for us, the EU? What would you say back to him?
Well, I would say, as they say, it brought peace. As they say in the Life of Brian, we're talking poor old Terry Jones. What a great comedy figure he was, and didn't go Brexity like.
No. Some things in life are sad.
But the EU has actually brought peace, hasn't it?
Well, it won the Nobel Peace Prize.
It did win the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, what are the other achievements of the EU in our glorious 47 years? 47 years and 1 month, isn't it? Did we join on the...
yes, we did. We joined on the 1st of January.
We officially joined on the 1st of January, so it's been 47 years and 1 month. There has not been, in all of that time, there's not been an armed conflict between member states of the EU.
Correct.
Which is remarkable. The countries that have come out of the Soviet Union have, emerged
that is a massive achievement.
Emerged into safety. That is incredible. The Balkans... was clearly destabilised, but has become peaceful. You cannot underestimate the stuff about clean air, clean beaches, and then there's all of the
human rights,
the basic human rights,
foreign aid,
yes, of course,
the opening of opportunities to our young people, of which I was one, you were one, to be able to travel easier and cheaper.
The end of
cheaper telephone calls, I've got written down here.
Yeah, cheaper telephone calls. The end of the death penalty. Yeah. There's no countries in the EU allowed to have the death penalty.
Yes.
The right to equal pay.
Yeah. Although some people, Steve, are more equal than others.
Indeed, yes. This is true, and long may it continue to be thus. And the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights, which I know we talked about before, but you cannot discriminate on
this stuff,
racial, sexual grounds.
It can sound a bit dry and a bit boring, all this stuff, but it has changed people's lives for the better.
Yes.
I was born in 1980. I have never not lived in a UK that has been close to the EU.
Yes.
And, let's not come February the 1st or come the 1st of January next year, there's not going to be some massive change and everything's going to change overnight. But my fear is the slippage towards something that under a new regime or a different regime, or even, quite frankly, under this regime, if it were to go awry... the changes away from the stabilising factor of the EU are worrying.
Some of those things will be knocked off, whether we,
And don't get me wrong, I am honest to God, I am no great fan of the EU. I think it needs reform.
Yes.
But smashing up our involvement in it is not the way to reform. I've said this a million times.
Well, I know we've said this before. We should mention the creation of the single market.
Yeah, huge.
An incredible thing that I was looking at the other day. I can't remember where I saw this now, but it's true. How many forms and stamps do you think a lorry needed before we were in the single market to travel from the UK to Italy?
I don't know.
70.
Jesus Christ.
70.
Good grief.
So...
And how many now?
Is it none?
Yeah.
And we should, of course, all right, you touched on it before, but the idea of free movement, which clearly has brought us to this pass, hasn't it? Free movement, the migrant crisis, the rise of Islamic terrorism has all played a part in bringing us to this. But that is a truly noble aim, and that should not be forgotten.
Well, on that note...
Oh, I've got a letter, by the way, that I want to read out.
What, now?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, go on then.
Because it's a letter from a guy called Alan Drake.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if he sent this to you as well, and he's been reacting to this idea that everybody must take down their EU flags now.
Well, I tell you what. Look, let's start Brexiteer of the Week with the Daily Express, and then we can listen to his letter.
Yes, okay.
Brexiteer of the Week.
Welcome back, Steve. Read that letter and tell us about the EU flags.
So the first of our Brexiteers of the Week is the Daily Express.
Yeah, deservedly
the Brexiteer House Journal. They've been leading a campaign to make it illegal to fly flags from public buildings.
Firstly, are they serious?
Yes.
Are they serious? This is an absolute nonsense.
Yes.
So is it also illegal to fly a Jamaican flag?
Yes.
Is it illegal to fly,
So
what?
they want to foil a plot from Remainers to fly EU flags from public buildings. In fact, they even had a poll about this. Did you see? 16,000 people.
Well, I think they should do with their
joined in their poll on express.co. Well,
same thing Nigel Farage did
with his flag. Daubney, I'm bending over now. Oh yes, sir.
And insert. Not too far.
And yes, and amazingly, of all of the people that visited the express.co.uk website to read about how Brexit is fantastic and the moaners are terrible, 84% said it should be made illegal.
What?
It should be made illegal.
What
Thank you to the 16%.
Are we living in that people think we should be banning flags of any description?
One commenter, and this bloke has nailed it. This is an opinion that I've never heard before.
Go on.
One commenter on express.co.uk said, "Isn't it a bit pathetic? The Ramonas lost, and they need to get over it." Sir, my hat is off to you. You've found a fresh take, fresh hell.
Good
Anyway, Alan Drake,
yes,
our friend, podcast listener. Hello, Alan.
Hi, Alan.
Alan with a U.
Mm-hmm.
So he's presumably
Welsh.
a Welsh man.
Hello, Alan.
Oh, don't do that.
My accents are legendary.
Oh, Alan,
I can do any. Give me an accent, I'll do it.
No. Let's not.
Only
even.
from UK regions.
Can you do Nigel Farage's accent?
Ooh! He wasn't expecting that one.
He wasn't expecting that one. Can you do Mark Francois? Imagine his little face. I don't know if he talks like that.
I can't think what he talks
But
like.
imagine his little face on Brexit night.
Oh, he's
going to be crying, isn't he?
Yeah. I wonder if Boris took that guy up who wanted to for £500.
With the sledgehammer
and sledgehammer Big Ben.
He said you could then.
As long as his travel expenses were.
He wanted £500
and travel expenses,
and then I'll go up there myself, and you can sell the sledgehammer later. You can auction it for Chazza. Thanks, mate. Anyway, Alan Evans said, many Brexiteers seem to think there is something called the EU flag, including the Daily Express. In fact, there is only the European flag.
Yeah. In fact, just now, Alan, I apologise, I called it the EU flag.
Yes. It was designed by the Council of Europe in 1955, shared much later with the EU in 1986. The Council for Europe is a human rights and democracy organisation based in Strasbourg, out of which came the European Court of Human Rights. Since the UK is not leaving the Council of Europe on the 31st of January, the UK government, UK citizens have got every right to continue to fly the European flag, or indeed flag the European flies, which is what I was going to say before.
So go for it.
I have a special interest in telling you all this because when I arrived for work at the council back in 1996, sorry, Alan, I discovered all the original designs for the European flag in a cardboard box in my office cupboard. Because the competition to find a flag for Europe was organised by my department.
Very
Isn't
good.
that nice?
That is nice.
So there you go.
So
So it's the European flag, not the EU flag, which we have said the EU flag before.
we have, European flag, yeah.
And we can continue.
Because, do you know what? We are actually still Europeans.
We are still Europeans.
And that is something to be pleased with.
Yes, we are. Now let's talk about some other Brexiteers of the week, and let's do it reasonably quickly.
Okay, quick.
Lest we actually, the bongs could be going off by the time I get to the rest of this. Jacob Rees-Mogg,
Yeah.
he's very Victorian. Do you know that thing called laudanum that they used to drink? It was like a tincture of opium. I wonder whether he's been on this because he wrote a column in the Mail on Sunday.
Yeah.
And maybe he'd been on the tincture of laudanum. Maybe he'd been reading Will Self's column in the New European because it had in it, it said, the British people have set the scene for the biggest restoration of vitality and viridity to our land in generations. This will be a government acutely attuned to the will of the people, for that is the sine qua non of our departure.
Right, is that Latin?
Our auriferous Prime Minister
Is that Latin?
is bringing in a new era of revitalisation to our nation.
Right.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's bringing in a new era of revitalisation to our nation.
Sounds like Chuck D.
It sounds a bit like something like Musical Youth might have done. The trail we have blazed in the past will continue to fulgurate into the future.
Right.
Viridity.
Mm.
Do you know what that is?
Viridity.
He said the biggest restoration of vitality and viridity to our land in...
I feel like it should be like Vim.
Well, it's VIR, isn't it? So it's related to green, the state of being green.
Virile.
But it also means naive innocence.
Oh, right.
So he wants Britain to go back to a time of naive innocence.
Well, I would like that
nice.
as well.
Yeah, it'd be nice, yeah. Put your child up the chimney.
Yeah.
We're all into naive innocence now. And sine qua non, which is Latin, as you said.
I was doing some Latin homework.
That is, do you know what that is?
Nope.
I always thought it was something that defines something like Jacob Rees-Mogg.
Well, you're sneaky posh, though, aren't you? Did you do Latin at school?
No, I didn't do Latin, no. But you could do Latin.
You're a sneaky posh, you are.
You could do Latin, but I did not do it. And then I would have known it's a thing that is absolutely necessary, an indispensable ingredient of something.
Ah, right.
So you could say Jacob
like fish in fish fingers.
Jacob Rees-Mogg is the sine qua non of British pomposity.
Yes, absolutely.
What was the other one? He said, he said our auriferous Prime Minister, AURI. So
is that something to do with flagpoles again?
It's related to gold, isn't it? AU.
Yeah.
Auriferous, so our golden Prime Minister. And then the one that I didn't know... I know. The one that I didn't know...
The man with the golden gun?
Was, yes, he's the man with the golden bum. Was fulgurate. The trail we have blazed in the past will continue to fulgurate into the future. Yeah. And that means to flash like lightning.
Oh.
And the example given on Google is the cut glass chandeliers fulgurated. Which I imagine
what about the Porritt? Fulgurated?
Yeah.
As he skipped to collect his pint of baby sham.
Well, exactly.
In the purge hour.
And it would say, how was breakfast this morning, Master Jacob? And he would say, oh, it was splendid, Nanny. The cut glass chandeliers fulgurated as I tucked into my Weetabix. Anyway, let's leave him behind. Kevin Peterson.
Oh, KP.
Seen Kevin Peterson? He's been on Twitter, getting sick and tired of the crybabies on a daily basis hammering Boris Johnson. He is your Prime Minister. Keep it zipped. They're the same. They're the same as the clowns in the US who hammer Trump. It's so boring. The election happened and they won. Spend your energy being positive about something else instead of polluting Twitter.
Yeah.
And that's good because Kevin Peterson does have a proud history of supporting people who are in authority, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He would never dissent, would he?
Never.
A man called on Twitter called Craig, at Craig for Brexit.
Right, Craig for Brexit.
I've become a fan of his.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of Ramona's saying, give me one tangible benefit of Brexit. I don't need to give you anything. I don't need to explain myself to you losers. I don't care about tangible effing benefits. F tangible benefits. Seriously, F them.
F them.
We won and you lost. Now pee off.
Did he use the full words?
He did use the full words.
Oh,
and a later tweet of, I have become a fan of Craig's. 2 world wars, 1 World Cup, 1 mighty Brexit. This is what we have achieved in just 1 century. I've never been so proud. To be fair, Craig, for Brexit, it's a century and 4 years. I've never been so proud to be British, the best country on the planet.
Will England football Yobbo start singing that? 2 world wars, 1 World Cup and Brexit.
Louis de Bernier.
Ah, yes.
Do you know who he is?
Oh, oui.
Do you know what book he wrote?
Did he? Yes, he. Little God, Captain Morelli's Mandolin.
He did.
I was thinking. What was I thinking of?
Vernon God Little.
Yes, I was. Yeah. Who wrote that?
D.B.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. I don't know. Captain Morelli and his mandolin.
Captain Corelli's mandolin.
Captain Corelli.
Captain Corelli is his mandarin.
Not his mandarin. Captain Corelli's mandarin.
Yes, it's about a big orange.
No, it's about a Whitehall official. Just him chatting about
tape gone mad.
Yeah.
This is the section where we don't do any rambling, isn't it? Yeah. It's good.
Supposedly.
Louis de Bernier, commissioned by the Financial Times, he wrote an article, Why I Believe in Brexit.
Oh.
And the best-selling author of Captain Corelli's Mandolin told readers of the Financial Times there is an area of Ipswich where there seems to be nobody but Eastern Europeans hanging around, smoking in little knots.
What? Why did he go to Ipswich?
To many locals, it looks threatening, even if it isn't.
Oh, well, it isn't, I can tell you.
Well, that's a good enough reason to turn our backs on the most successful trading bloc in the world, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
there's a group of people in Ipswich who just smoke all the time.
I spend a day a week in Ipswich.
Even though they're not that threatening.
I spend a day a week in Ipswich, and that is not representative of what I see there.
He also said, we are an important trading partner. If Ireland were being strictly rational, it would also leave the EU and opt for an Anglo-Irish economic zone. And of course that makes perfect sense because 13% of Ireland's exports go to the EU.
Yeah.
That's massive, isn't it?
Massive.
Compared to the tiny 33% that go to the rest of the EU. So
yeah, I think you got that mixed up.
It's
13 to the UK.
It's 13 to the UK and 33% to the EU.
I'd just like to clarify that it's not my hobby to hang around in Ipswich. I'm there on work purposes.
Yes. Andrew Rossendale.
Yes.
MP for Romford.
He is Gavin Rossdale's dad.
He's not. He is predicting that huge numbers will come to his Brexit night party.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which is held at his offices in Romford, which are called Margaret Thatcher House.
Of course.
It is actually just a house.
Is it?
That they've written Margaret Thatcher House on. He says, I will be celebrating in style, with a great British buffet, with food from around the UK and English sparkling wine, nothing French or German.
Did you see that picture of the pub on its blackboard? It said, Brexit party, English food and music,
Sausage
Oasis, Blur, the Beatles, Kylie.
It did. It was absolutely wonderful.
What a night that is going to
be. He said that no French and German wine, no French and German food.
No.
They said, are you really just going to drink just English sparkling wine? And he said, I think there'll be some Commonwealth wine in there, basically. So I think there'll be one bottle of English cava, won't there? 20 quid, and then some of it nice, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, I just prefer champagne. I mean, that's all I drink.
Yes, well, we are champagne socialists.
I mean,
yes,
baby champagne socialist.
Andrew Rossendale, I had heard his name before, and in November 2016. He demanded that the BBC should play God Save the Queen at the end of each night's broadcast.
Well, they used to.
As used to happen at close down.
Yeah, did.
Until 1997.
Yeah, I remember.
And he put in an early day motion for this. And a BBC spokesman said at the time, we are aware of Mr Rossendale's interest in this issue as he has made the same request in 7 previous early day motions. We no longer play the national anthem on a daily basis on BBC One because BBC One does not close down in the evening.
But they do play on Radio 4 still, I believe, don't they, at the close of play?
Yes, I think they do.
And then it goes to the World Service.
And then it goes to the World Service, yes.
Yes.
But the Brexiteer of the week is Dominic Frisby.
Ah.
Do you know who Dominic Frisby is?
Well, I didn't, but we did have we have a very as you can tell by listening to this pod, we have a pre-planning meeting.
Yes.
And you did mention him.
He is a financial analyst.
Yeah.
And like most financial analysts, in his spare time, he's a pro-Brexit comedian.
Obviously.
He was going to stand for the Brexit Party at the general election. He withdrew for personal reasons.
Right. Is it his real name, Frisbee?
I think it is his real name.
Is it really?
He was so enraged by the idea that Ode to Joy would get in the charts, and it is currently, I think it's going to be in the charts at about number 25, I think.
Right.
But the charts, I'm told by a young person, are heavily weighted still to physical media. So if you actually go out and buy a physical copy of something, it counts for...
It counts for more, does
much,
it,
much,
than a
much,
streaming?
much more than a download.
Yeah.
So even though you've been seeing Ode to Joy leading the download charts, it's still, when the charts come out on Friday...
It's still going to be Dua Lipa.
Listen, I hope I'm wrong.
Or FKA Twigs.
Oh, I love him, yeah.
Or, no, you know FKA Twigs.
I know, it's a Stuart Lee joke, that.
And Edward Sheeran.
Edward Sheeran.
Or Pitbull.
Oh, I love Pitbull. I do like Pitbull.
Shakira. Hips don't lie.
Hips don't lie, unlike Nigel Farage.
Yeah, tell me about...
That was the B-side.
Tell me about Frisbee.
Dominic Frisbee. So he was so outraged by this idea that Ode to Joy might get to number one in the charts that he re-released a song which he released last year, and it is called 17 Million F-Offs.
Right.
In an attempt to beat Ode to Joy, to be number one.
Is it actually just 17 million, him saying F off 17 million times?
No, it's not.
Because I think the Super Furry Animals currently hold the record for most F words in a charting single for Man Don't Give a F.
Yes, of
which
course.
is an excellent song.
Which is an excellent song.
Download
which repeats the
Don't give a but anybody else,
which of course
is on a single,
which of course is lifted from the Superior song by the Superior band, Showbiz Kids by Steely Dan.
Yeah, but on the cover it had that
Gavin Friday.
Yeah, the footballer.
Not Gavin Friday, Robin Friday.
That's it,
Gavin Friday was in Virgin Prunes. Robin Friday was a footballer giving the V side.
Yeah. Cult footballer. We should do a pod about culty things.
Cult things. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? So Dominic Frisbee's song contains the lyrics, "It was the greatest democratic turnout in British history, I do not scoff." Oh. Don't know how he scans that. Oh. And when the time came to speak, the British said, F off. It calls Femi a weirdo. It says Anna Soubry is not a Nazi. It says Hilary Benn. Hillary's a girl's name. What's that all about?
Nice.
And it says Lord Adonis.
This one's called Frisbee.
Who the F is he anyway? Lord Adonis.
Who put the F in Frisbee?
F is he anyway? I mean, who says that the left wing have got all the good comedians?
Absolutely.
But as we come to our darkest hour since...
Our actual darkest hour. We shouldn't compare this to that.
No, really. But as we come to the saddest time for you,
at least
for me,
in our memory, yes.
And for all the snowflakes listening at home,
yeah.
The saddest time since 23rd of June 2016.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Doesn't it say something that while we are trying to get Ode to Joy, this wonderful, uplifting, optimistic piece of music which signifies unity and togetherness of peoples, we're trying to get that to number one, and the Brexiteers are telling people that they don't agree with to F off.
Yes, I particularly like Ode to Joy done on a bagpipe.
Oh, on a little bagpipe.
And if you do too, listener, hang around till the end.
Yes.
For something that's not a surprise.
In the meantime, we're not going away.
No, God no.
This podcast, there'll be more of the print edition of the New European.
You are listening and buying and reading New European products in ever larger numbers. So we know that you want us, and we will hang around. We will carry on the fight. In fact, it starts proper right now.
The real fight starts here?
Ooh.
That sounds great. Bring it on.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a right fighter as well. Come on, Norwich, where are your fighters?
You can't see this, but I'm rubbing my hands like Corbyn did in that video. Yeah. Right, let's go to work. We only lost that election narrowly. Let's go and lose another one worse.
Yes, nothing to do with Corbyn or to do with Brexit, by the way. We didn't even talk about
Richard, are you tough enough to stop Brexit?
Well, clearly not.
Yeah. Well, the correct answer is, hell yes, I'm tussing us.
Yes. Yes.
Like Ed Miliband.
What should the listener do?
Do you know that there's been a series of programmes on this week, by the way, called Are We Tough Enough? And it's about whether people in Britain are resilient enough.
What, to cope with
and
Brexit?
Are we tough enough? No, it's just I see. Are people today tough enough to cope with the so-called snowflake generation?
Yeah.
And all they needed was Ed Miliband to just come on and say,
hell yes,
they're tough, or no, they're not tussing us. No, they're not tussing us. Yes, they are tussing us. Anyway, you can join the New European Facebook Readers Group.
Do it.
You can go to Twitter.
Do it.
You can follow me at Sanglesey, SANGLESEY.
Do it.
You can follow you at Porritt.
PORRIT.
You can follow the New European at the New European, and you can
leave us great reviews. That means a lot. So leave us great reviews.
Yes, and check out the other podcasts on the tremendous Archant podcast network.
Do.
From true crime to football, Brexit to folklore. For more great podcasts from Archant, head to audioboom.com/channel/Archant.
That was the New European Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. It means the world to us. If you haven't already, go out and get the printed product. It is £3. It is in all good newsagents right now. We will be back next week. Until then, Mr. Campbell, pick up and indeed play your bagpipes.
Here you go.